down the basement, lock the cellar door, and baby, talk bloody to me.
Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of Talk Bloody to Me. I'm Matt.
And I'm Breezy, aka Freddy.
For those of you that aren't watching on YouTube and are just listening, Breezy has her full Freddy Krueger outfit on. Oh my gosh, complete with claw. Is that actually metal?
No, it's actually fake.
Oh,
I
really?
wish it was real.
Yeah.
I wish.
I used to have a really cheap plasticky one that was like gray plastic, but you look like you could do some serious damage with that thing.
Actually, no, I can't unless there's like fake you know, blades on there, or real blades, then I can really do some damage.
Yeah, that's true. And Breezy is dressed like Freddy today because we are going to be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Master and the Dream Child. And why are we
Mhm.
talking about these movies?
Because Lisa Wilcox, is that how you pronounce her last
Yep.
name?
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Alice on Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 and Part 5.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be there at Minnesota Crypticon. And also Michael Bailey Smith, and he is a super Freddy
Oh
from
yeah.
Part 5, and he's going to be there at Minnesota Crypticon. And then
Mm-hmm.
you got Danny Hassel, aka Dan. He plays in Part 4 and Part 5, which is Alice's boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Bartrice Bowl Purple, or how do you
I
pronounce her
don't
name?
even know, like Bopopol or Beepopol. It's like almost
Yeah,
like Beeba Boopa Boopa. I don't know. I apologize to the
yeah.
fine woman that she is. I'll apologize to her in person at Crypticon.
And she is Freddy's mom in part 5. So we're doing this strictly for like, Crypticon because that's coming up. So we know might as well.
Exactly. We're getting ourselves hyped up for Crypticon, and it's more exciting to meet these people when you've seen them recently and kind of refreshed your memory. And it's this Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Oh, before we go into it, I just really quick want to say we did our episode when I talked about stop motion, and I said I didn't like it, and you said you might have to check it out. And I just want to touch base with you. I believe you watched stop motion. What's the verdict?
Yeah, oh shoot. Yeah, so anyways, stop motion is like Matt was saying, it was so boring. I'm like, so I gave it a try, and holy fuck, it is very boring. Very boring. I did watch all the way through. Yeah, it's very boring. However, I do like the art that comes with it.
Yep.
It's like very graphic, and yes, I do agree with Matt. That's similar to like Puppet Master in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I
Yep.
do agree with you on that. But yes, it's fucking boring.
So we're in
So boring.
we've reached a consensus that the stop motion animation and art is really good, but the story is boring and dull and slow.
That
But
is correct.
yeah,
Yes.
so
It's so dumb.
anyway, close the book on stop motion. Moving on. So today we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 and 5, but we'll start with Part 4. This movie is one of the first ever slasher movies I've ever seen. Um, I was growing up in the 80s, everyone knew about Freddy and Jason, and these things were like marketed to kids, even though they were R-rated horror movies, but there was like candy and trading cards and all kinds of stuff. But so I saw at a friend's house, he had his mom ran the video store, so he went in and snuck in and took a bunch of R-rated movies. So we watched Friday the 13th Part 7 and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, which I think were the two newest ones on video at the time. So I saw this is like one of the second horror movies I've ever seen.
So part 5 wasn't even on VHS. You kind of like went all over the place.
Yep, I think part 5 was in theaters, and Friday the 13th Part 8 was in theaters, and then we watched Friday the 13th Part 7 and Nightmare on Elm Street 4 on video. So
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
I
I
got confused
gotcha.
in my timeline. But how old were you
Yeah.
when you first saw Nightmare on Elm Street 4?
Um, I honestly don't recall when I first started watching Nightmare on Elm Street. I actually watched the actual last one.
Mm-hmm.
So when Heather, I forgot her last name. Heather was in the last one, and that's actually I seen that on VHS.
Okay.
But I didn't at that time I didn't know that there was more to it, like previous movies. I'm like,
Yep.
oh well. Then I'm like, oh shit, there's more to it. Well, I guess I went way last one, and then I gotta go backtrack. So I went backwards instead of forwards.
Well, there you go. That's what you got to do sometimes. I know I've done
Yeah.
that. I've done that with movies before too. Um, so Nightmare on Elm Street 4 kind of we were talking about this a little bit beforehand about we didn't think that the Nightmare on Elm Streets really connected much from one to the other. I know with like Friday the 13th, there's just a barely any connection, but
Mm.
Nightmare on Elm Street 4 actually picks up where Nightmare on Elm Street 3 left off. And
Yep.
there's three kids, well, kids like teenagers, that survived Freddy. They were able to kill Freddy by like they buried his bones a certain way and like consecrated the ground or something. Anyway, this movie starts. Freddy's gone, but who's the? I'm already drawn a blank. I should have made notes. Who's the girl that can pull people into
Alice.
the dreams? Not
Alice.
not Alice, but the first one, the one that starts off from part three.
Oh,
I
geez, I forgot her name already.
we're
Even
so
though I watched
prepared.
it like, even though I watched this part four like 3 days ago.
Right, me too. We really need to start making notes. Anyway, she's from part three. She has the power to pull people into her dreams. She keeps going to Freddy's house to make sure Freddy's still gone. And she pulls her two friends into the dream, and they say, if you keep messing around here, you might wake Freddy up or bring him back. And then the one guy's dog jumps out of the boiler, the famous Freddy Krueger boiler room, and bites the girl, and then they wake up.
I think my favorite scene in part four was like when the guy's on the waterbed
Oh
and he's
yeah.
like fantasizing to this like model on top of his like this poster of this model.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden he looks back up and then she's gone and she's like in the waterbed naked and he's
Yeah.
like, whoa. And all of a sudden, like she's gone and here comes Freddy. That's actually my favorite scene. I don't know why.
It's actually pretty hot.
Yeah,
It's like a clear plastic waterbed or something, and she's in there naked, like swimming and like waving, and
now that's a tease.
yeah, exactly. And then after Freddy kills Freddy, his claim to fame was his one-liners, and after he kills that guy, he says, "How's that for a wet dream?" So
Yeah. How do you like that dog piss?
yeah.
That dog piss in the fire, and you text me like, "Welcome, Freddy is coming back from hell." Or walk.
Yeah. We were, because apparently the dog got summoned into the dream, and that's what made Freddy come back to life. But I texted Breezy and I said something about gotta love that junkyard or something, and she's like, "What about the dog pissing fire?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"What?" And then like a minute later, it happened, and I was like, "Oh, there it is."
Yeah.
The dog
But I
pisses.
do like the junkyard scene though.
Yep.
That's like actually my favorite scene out of all, like the whole movie, besides the waterbed. But I like the junkyard scene.
All the cars kind of moving together and
Yep.
crashing. And the dog pissing fire somehow awakens Freddy from hell. Because why wouldn't it? That makes perfect
Right.
sense. Totally logical explanation. So Freddy basically he kills the one guy in the junkyard, he kills the other guy in the waterbed, and then he kills the girl that can pull people into their dreams. But she pulls in Alice. And so then when she dies, like Alice absorbs her power to pull people into the dreams. And they
Mm.
kind of set up that like some people in dreams have powers, like in part three, the Dream Warriors, it's called, and there's like a magic guy, and like one of the guys in this movie is really good at karate and stuff. And so basically, as Freddy kills these people, Alice absorbs their powers because she's the Dream Master. And they talk about like they're in a history class and the teacher's talking about the Dream Master and the Dream Gates, and I'm like, what the hell kind of high school is this? Is this like Buffy the Vampire Slayer high school? They're talking about
Yeah,
dream.
it's kind of it kind of reminds me of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now you message it,
Yeah, right.
even
Because
though I don't really care for that TV show, but
right. like, but it's like a history professor. He's like, oh, there's long been stories of the Dream Gate and the Dream Master and the Light Dreams, and I'm like, has there been stories of that? Because this sounds like he's making some shit up. But anyway, that's the
Well,
mythology of.
there is a TV show of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah, Freddy's Nightmares.
Yeah, and that's on Tubi.
Okay. Oh shoot, I should try
I've seen some of it, but I don't really care for it as much.
Right.
But then
Yeah.
again, I'm not too much of a huge, Nightmare on Elm Street fan. Sorry,
Right.
fans. I like Freddy.
Well, so like we should probably explain what is Freddy. And so Freddy Krueger was a person, and he apparently murdered a bunch of kids and in the town, um went to, got arrested, went to court, and somehow got let loose on a technicality. And but everyone in the town knew he was guilty, so they basically made a lynch mob and burned him to death in the boiler room and had a little mob justice. But then somehow Freddy is able to come back in the kids' dreams and torment them. And if he kills you in your dream, you die in real life.
Yep.
And that's kind of the whole premise of Nightmare on Elm Street. And there's a lot of big, elaborate sets, a lot of cool like chains and tattered cloth hanging around and special effects and stuff like that.
Yeah, and a lot of like kind of like sci-fi-ish too on, stuff in there.
Yep. And one of the things I remember most is we'll spoil these old movies. If you don't want Nightmare on Elm Street spoiled, watch it now. It's because it's from the 80s. You should have watched it already. If you haven't, if you're worried about it being spoiled. But she shows, it's like a rhyme, and she shows Freddy his reflection, and then all the souls, because when he kills the people, he like absorbs their soul into their body. They all start ripping free, and it's all these little tiny hands ripping out of his head and ripping out. That was probably my favorite part of the whole movie. I could remember that from all the way back when I was 13, seeing that.
That's like in part 4, I believe, isn't it?
Yep, part 4
Okay,
at the end. Yep. And so then Freddy's dead, all the souls go free, and then we move on to Nightmare on Elm Street 5, which is Alice and Danny, the two survivors of part 4. And Alice has a dream about a woman getting locked in an insane asylum and then giving birth, and there's a little baby Freddy running around, and then it jumps into the pile of Freddy clothes and like morphs into a full size Freddy.
I thought during that scene, like it's Freddy's mom, so like Beatrice, but Beatrice is like kind of young in that one.
Yeah.
In that scene. And Alice is just sitting there, and at that time when the first time I was watching, I'm like, what the hell? It's going back and forth. I couldn't really understand what was going on. Now when you watch it, it's like, okay, she's delivering Freddy.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden she becomes pregnant with Danny, and she has a boy.
Yep. Exactly.
But yeah, when she pushed out Freddy, I was like, oh my God, he looks like an alien.
Yeah, he really does.
I mean,
he kind of reminded me of Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Like he's kind of all shriveled up, and also maybe like a mutant. Like remember Ghoulies? Do you ever see the Ghoulies?
Yeah,
he kind of looks like one of those in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so what the idea, because normally Freddy can only attack you in the dream, but the premise of this one is that Alice is pregnant, and apparently babies sleep while they're in the womb. And so when the baby's asleep and dreaming, Freddy can get at them even though they're not asleep. And so then and Danny gets killed right away on a motorcycle. It's probably one of the coolest scenes between the two movies.
That
is probably
scene
my favorite
I love.
scene. Yeah.
I love that scene.
It's like all that, like the part of the
Freddy's
fuel.
like, and Freddy's like fast in the fast lane and super drive and fuel injection. I'm like, oh my God, I love this scene.
It's like all these pipes and tubes are like going into his skin and like up his face and into his like, and then he's like, don't dream and drive, and then he like crashes into something.
Yep.
That's really cool.
I love that scene.
Yeah, it's kind of a body horror moment, but it didn't bother me that bad.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because this is a motorcycle and Danny's getting killed, or the special effects, or it's just like how Freddy is like telling him like fuel injection, hyperdrive. I'm like, oh my god.
And then you were talking about sci-fi. This one has one of the girls is always working out, and then she's lifting weights, and Freddy appears and pushes the weights down, and her arms snap and like snap off.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she gets like big cockroach arms, and then she crawls her way and gets stuck on like a cockroach trap and is all stuck to her face, and then her skin comes off. Very,
Yeah.
very kind of Fly moment. It reminded me of the Fly, where she's like,
yeah, I remember. Yeah.
yeah. And
Good
then there's
scene though.
Yep, there's a super fakey part where it looks like it's a movie screen showing a picture of Freddy looking at her, and then it cuts to like Freddy holding a Roach motel looking in it, and like that was supposed to be it's really fakey and stupid looking, but it's funny.
Well, even with when that chick was like working out, that looked so fakey too.
Yeah, it really did.
It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. There's
It's
like
like,
no blood. It like breaks and rips, but there's no blood. It's just like hollow, like a weird
yeah.
chocolate Easter bunny. That's an image
Yep,
for you.
pretty much.
You know? There's a comic book guy, a kid that's into comic books, one of the teenagers, and I remember when I saw this at this age, I was like into comic books big time, and so I was like, this guy was I was rooting for him, man. And he gets attacked by Freddy, and he turns into his superhero persona with guns and like shoots the crap out of Freddy. Freddy looks like he's down for the count. All of a sudden Freddy gets up and he's all buff and huge, and this is our friend that's going to be at Crypticon, Michael, who is Super Freddy, and it's basically a big beefy Freddy with a cape, and the bullet bounced right off him.
He comes out of like that comic that person was reading.
Yep.
And I wasn't really care for that comic scene at all. Maybe more so you.
Well, when I was a kid, I liked it because I was into comic books, but now seeing it, I thought it was such a stupid kill because the kid's like a piece of paper and Freddy's cutting it up, and it's like, oh, that's so dumb. Like cutting up paper. Ooh, I'm scared.
Right.
It wasn't even like blood or anything. It just was like cutting up a white piece of paper. It was like, well, that's the one thing I really liked is when the kid was looking at the comic book and it was like all the different scenes, like from the movie up to that point in the comic book until it got to him sitting there reading it. And then it was blank. And then he went and got sucked into the comic book.
Yeah.
So he got killed. The one stupid girl that didn't believe anyone somehow lives to the end. Really made me aggravated.
That one kind of stupid. I was like, she doesn't believe anything. I wish she should have died first.
Exactly. Everyone knows that if you don't believe in the monster / killer, you should die first. That's just the way it is. You don't deserve to survive. Gee whiz. But Alice lives again. Alice survives Freddy twice. Go Alice.
Well, then she has to raise a baby without, Danny.
Right. True.
Which that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But at least the baby didn't turn out like Freddy.
Yeah.
Or have any nightmares. I'm like, okay, that baby's probably gonna have nightmares even though that Freddy's dead.
Yeah. There was like Freddy was feeding him souls in the womb or something and trying to morph him into like evil. And then there was a part where the kid was appearing to Alice in her dreams as like a little boy. And he's like, I'm Jacob. And then he even gets Freddy-ized at the end. He does a cunning, elaborate ruse to trick Freddy by morphing into him slightly. Distracts Freddy long enough for Amanda to release the souls. Freddy's mom is the one that can stop him.
Because they go like back to that same church as in part 4. So yeah, part 4 and part 5 are connected. And I asked Matt, I'm like, is these connected? I'm not sure. We were kind of having a dispute about it. Because we don't really watch them. And like when Freddy fans are like, no, you gotta watch them in order. Probably so, but we don't really watch them that often. I'm like, no, just do 4 and then do 5. And then we figured out real quick, like, yep, they're kind of tied together.
Yep. So full disclosure, neither Breezy nor I are huge Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy fans. We kind of talked about it. We're both kind of like, yeah, Freddy's cool. But like we both like, I mean, even as a kid, I like Jason better. I like Michael Myers better. I like Leatherface better. I like, Freddy was always kind of like a lower tier for me. So I apologize to all the huge Freddy fans out there.
Yeah.
He just
I
never
mean,
really floated my
there's
boat.
yeah, I mean, there's a few like that I know that they're Freddy fans, and almost like, oh my God, if they're going to listen to this podcast, they're going to like hate us. But it's
Go listen to our other episodes. Give it
yeah,
a
well,
chance. But we are excited to meet them at Crypticon, and it was nice remembering memories from my teenage years of being exposed to
right,
horror for the first
right.
time.
I do have the whole box set too, and then one of them is a 3D, so I gotta wear my 3D glasses.
Oh, which one is
I don't
that?
remember. I don't remember which one
I think it's
it was.
6 for some reason,
6.
but I'm
Okay,
just I'm pulling that out of
I
thin air.
think.
I'm
I
pulling
think.
that out of my butt like it's part of the human centipede.
Oh my. Oh my God.
That's a callback to last episode.
Yeah. And then there's also from that box set is like a comic book or about the movies, and they do like a little like snippets of what all happened. I think I don't know. It's been a while since I got them out, but yes, I have the whole set.
Nice.
And one of the sets, well, I'm not going to say that, not until we talk about that one,
Okay.
that part. But there is one, no, two celebrities, actors and actresses that I have met in one of the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, really? Who's that?
Oh, I can't say. We
Oh,
gotta do
okay.
it. We gotta do that one. We gotta do a remote movie review on that one.
Oh, okay. We'll save that for a later day.
Okay.
So, um, anything else we want to talk about on Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5?
No, that's pretty much it. If you are coming to Minnesota Crypticon, they will be there. So I hope you do meet the chance or get the chance to meet and greet and get their signatures done on part 4 and part 5.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do something else. Somebody else from Crypticon.
Oh
So stay
yeah.
tuned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I'm like
I'm excited.
learning this in real time. Like what? No, but I remember now.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one, but I can't say.
Yup. It's stay tuned.
Yep.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it if you like, share, subscribe, follow, tell your friends about us. Let anyone you know who likes horror know to listen to Talk Bloody to Me. And that's my sales pitch for the day.
And I'm coming for your dreams, people.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.